This is a message that I never ever thought I would ever have to make. It is done under the most stressful circumstances that I can think of, and it is one of the highest urgency that I can describe. It is real world to anyone who can comprehend that, and it is immediate, imminent, as I have no other way to put it. And here we go. I am putting this message forth with my voice signature. It's going to be hard because I can't release my name or anything, but this should hopefully be good enough because it's already a standard in some places. I am at this moment under complete siege, and one that I actually have operatives, and that is the word I will use, operatives. I challenge anyone to prove me different, that are living. Basically, I had chosen a place in a private house, in a private home, where you can rent a room for your office space or your temporary or permanent living quarters or what have you. But as I am limited right now because basically what is happening is this: the operatives that are posing as renters, and they will watch this within minutes, I'm sure, after this is done, and shame onto every single one of you. Every single night I am faced with the fact that I know they are viewing what is on my computer screen, and they have for months. This has been now 6 to 7 months now. Every night as I move from room to room to go to the bathroom or the what have you, they are following every move. If they are in different parts of the home, they are relaying where I am at to each other via their cell phones, voice or via text. As I usually work late into the night, to the evening or night, I also know that there are 2 males and 1 female, and I knew that they were together when they showed up. They moved in back to back to back. They do work with eyes, and I will say eyes, that are off property. That source knows exactly where I'm at in my room, in the home, as they communicate back and forth. You can easily hear when those calls come in, or know when those calls come in, and you can easily hear, at least till now, because it's too late, what's been said and the timing of such. People, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this thing or these things out. Now, it is ridiculous when you have every single move of yours followed and made. It is absolutely ridiculous when you're going to have people that will listen to this and say, well, why don't you just get out of there? Yeah, that's the first thing that one would do. But when you are, for some reason, at the very last minute of every major transaction or purchase or what have you, for a stupid, the stupidest of stupid, and they're all unlawful reasons, turned down for any major transaction of like a car or a home or anything, and you have every single bit of documentation that you need to be able to purchase one or rent another one or what have you, it is it's a little more than obvious at that point, you know. But when you have three operatives that have literally posed as renters, and which, of course, as now there are more, because what is being done every night, this is what's being done every night. They all gather, and this was concentrated on a room or space of the particular property that I'm located at in Las Vegas. I won't say the street number, but on Las Vegas. It's kind of ironic here too, because if you can imagine, you know, in these cases, they, in case you don't follow, they call these individuals targets. But you have to understand, they also call them marks. And that would be now that one is a coincidental one, although I don't think it's coincidental, as I had found out only recently, that what I believe, I haven't looked into that part of it yet, but what it used to be, which was, it's basically, it's nothing more than a private house, but it's, I think it used to be used for something else, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, people, it's a little much when you have every night three operatives. One of them is supposedly the main renter for that place. Number one, they all gather over there. They view what's on my computer screen like it's entertainment or their entertainment for the night. And then, you know, of course, everything that's, you know, said or what have you. Now here's where the fooling of the language comes in. Yeah, they put, we know they've put, you know, bugs in there so they can, you know, hear you, right? Well, of course. The construction over there on that wall, which is right next to mine, has not stopped. Installing wiring, sawing, pounding, installing for months and months and months. So this is now 6 to 7 months old. It's not really hard to get, okay? But the fooling of the language thing I'm talking about is basically, that's not the only kind of bugs they have inserted. See, into the wall, they also put, as kind of a, you know, for that particular criminal offense anyway, they've also put actual bugs, like ants. And most of all, as I've never seen in my life, things like bed bugs and God knows what have you, but I know when they're inserted, I know how they're inserted, and right on schedule. And if I've had everything all cleaned up and everything, and I can defend against such things, but not before. I was injured pretty heavily before that. It's just not right. You know, ladies and gentlemen, it's just not right. And these individuals, they now have what is now appears to be guests, which used to be, seems like it nothing, but now is. And there are anywhere from 2, I'm talking about additional guests, because they will, every time they try something, when they end up, if it doesn't work out or whatever, they all gather over there, they consult each other and console each other, and they, you know, they end up will gather and consult and sometimes sulk and, what wasn't able to be done. In the meantime, it is literally draining every second, every minute of every hour, and that's the goal here, if nothing else. But when you have, I've never really been around what people might call, I guess like organization members or gang members or those type of people. But natural sense is very valuable, so you can tell when they come around. You can tell, especially with what they say, when they're 5 inches from you. I mean, it's not hard to verify. So anyhow, though, but this has got to be brief because I actually had to travel outside. Let me finish that thought first here real quick. So they gather over there every night, and they don't leave until usually it's almost daylight, I guess. Now these are just the extra ones. This is not the actual, the 1 or 2 or whatever it's supposed to be who live there. And it is absolutely ridiculous. It is 24/7 attention focused on me. I know it is, they know it is, and it's just not right. It is not right for people to be able to do this, or individuals to do this. Now, what's also funny is when I seem to be like, okay, well, I've had it, that's enough, and you start typing up a report to turn in to whomever, whichever proper authority, they all seem to just scatter. They just scatter. And God forbid if it ever was done on the phone, and you're talking about it on the phone, they really scatter. They get the hell out of there. Wiring and shit starts coming out of the wall. They start ripping it out and just, hurry up. Yeah, I hadn't got my other shit out of there. Hurry up, come on, gotta get out of here. Okay, so, but none of that has to do with anything, does it? People, if you can't come to a conclusion or anything near it that I have in the past few minutes of this, then at the very least I would say do not look at me with strange eyes, because I know that most people have their good nomenon or common sense or natural sense about them. You know when something's wrong. So the most simple 2 solutions is, well, just get out of there. Just get out of there and go somewhere else. Or call the police. That's what most people do, right? Here's the problem with that. I've had to make that a last resort, which is why I'm making this here. Just simply so that I can put it in a few places so that when it is that time, and it's almost that time, maybe seconds, minutes, or hours, or days, who knows. But it's getting very close. I'm going to go for the mid-range of that. Because in the past, when you call 911, there's one thing that happens, people. When you call 911, there's one decision that's made before anybody shows up. And the decision that's made is, are they, if it's like a politically sensitive, the only I just want to be left alone. I just want to try to recover from all the other crap that these, whatever or whomever or have done to myself and my family. And it's horrible, horrific things. How would you feel if you couldn't see your family for almost 8 years now? 8 years. We don't want to be apart, but let's just say from the day that they forced or unduly influenced a situation where we are forced to be apart, and have done the very same thing every time it's come close, to somehow healing that or what have you. It's very quickly unduly influenced again, where it's all of a sudden not possible any longer, at least for that situation. So this is absolutely, this cannot continue here. Not here, not in this country. And as of right now, and this message, I want to make it very clear, this is not an informational, I hope somebody gets information out of it, but it is mostly out here simply for the purpose of calling attention to this situation in Las Vegas on Mark Avenue. And I've put enough out there where enough people should know what the situation is. Okay, I'm not joking. Now it is let me say one more thing. Of the 2 males and the 1 female, one of the males is trying hard to do a reverse. I would actually, I would vouch for that much, put it that way. But the female is there and has made herself kind of very visible in the past couple of months at least. But the other male, and you know who I'm talking about because they're going to be all listening to this. I think Jack on Three's Company had a guy best friend besides the 2 beautiful girls he lived with. Remember the sitcom Three's Company, the TV show? Well, he had a guy friend who lived, I don't know if it was upstairs or downstairs, but it was his best friend on the show. His best guy friend on the show. Yeah. That's what this, whomever goes by, and is absolutely out of his mind, is the one that is obsessed with doing whatever. Well, I know what it was, because they've all made their missions very, very obvious to this point. His mission, main mission, all of theirs, but it's, he's the wannabe leader, so we'll make him the leader because he's the one that goes down, tries to make it like he's checking on people. It's usually to consult from whatever he screwed up just prior. But his main mission, it was to come in here, as he started right away, and take out my online service. Now, why am I making this? Why am I making this now? This is what everybody needs to remember. They have compromised my mail. So my mail, the sensitive pieces anyway, are all intercepted. Not just one, all of them are intercepted or diverted, or they are role played. Yes, role played, like it actually comes from an entity, if it's anything to do with something sensitive. So it would make, and this is, I hate to say it, but if you're dealing with your status or any sensitive situations, politically, at least till recently, that's at least what's been done with myself, because I've caught it already. And the phones are the same way. My phones are all compromised as well. So if you can just surmise and put or think about it and just put everything into a simple little nutshell, do you see now what gives weight to the mission of taking out my online activities? And I don't do anything illegal, of course not. I'm not like that. But this is basically but his part of this, let's just say mission, as I'm sure they say, is. Or, and this, I have had no choice but to take notes the whole way, and they're already separated from me, so they're in a safe place with, let's just say, instructions elsewhere. But people, when somebody comes in and makes it very obvious that they are going after and trying to disconnect you from your online service, I know it sounds weird, but if you think about what I said about the mail and the phones, well, now you get it, because that is the last part of what would be known as communication. And that's what is ultimately being right now tried to be taken out. And even so, it used to be part of the place that I, rent the office space from, or sleeping quarters, or what have you. But now I was forced to have to get a separate line. Actually, I was kind of coaxed into it, and of course reneged and set up again from that point. And it came within, I will say this, it came within a few days of being shut off. And what this individual was doing was cutting my online service manually off. Now, I can't go into the fact of how, if it comes down to it, legally or lawfully, and going that route, in other words, I have no problem. I know how it was done, but at will, and like I said, obsessed and out of his mind. Let me give an example. Would go out and on his way out, just start going, oh yeah, we'll cut that off. That's it. Now I can hear everything that goes on around me. Okay, so comes and stands right near the where your, I guess what you'd call your router is, and would come and check on it, make sure it's out. All right, everything seems to be okay, and moves on. Well, in my experience, usually when the router's out, people are kind of antsy and upset, and they're wanting to know when it's going to come back on. Nope, his only action was just making sure that it was out, and he's never denied it. Now this is one of the, at this point, thousands of examples that I can give you, but it is very obvious. So right now, though, the main concern is this: I need to make sure that this was at least put out there for my sake and my safety, because when these people or individuals or whomever show up, I'm talking about their guests, okay, at night. Sometimes you hear, as many as what seems to be. I don't know if they're doing it, for other reasons. Maybe they have excessive luggage every night, I don't know. But sometimes you hear as many as 6, 7, 8, 10 car door slams. Okay, so you don't know if it's coming for you or not from wherever. You don't know if in this case, if the police that you get, because and trust me, I'm just going to put it this way: I'm not a criminal, people. I'm not a criminal. I know what's in my heart, and I don't need anyone to tell me what mental condition I'm in, okay? And forgive my language, and I'll just say it once here just for the sake of saying it. I know myself, and I know goddamn well what my mental condition is. Thank you very much. And it's nowhere near the condition of this obsessed, absolutely out of his mind creature is. Because even when the attacks and the plans and the all that stuff would, and it's every night, it's every day. The approach is a handyman approach. They get handyman clearance. Oh, I'm a handyman. So they can get up in the attics and in the in-between of the other parts of the house as they're doing a favor or good pricing project for, landlords who would be landlords or what are known as managers or what have you. That's the approach. Just like that's to give them access. So just remember that. And when that manager does show up, this is just one more of them, but when that manager does show up, complete smotherization, smothers him with attention, complete different, oh, so sweet type of take care attitude, almost like I'm just, okay. I try to keep from throwing up, to be honest, but all the way walks the manager out to the car, making carefully sure that no one else is to spend alone time with this manager. So there's no intelligence that can be, coordinated with this manager. But the manager I'm a little worried about too, because it is completely different with this individual now as well. Does not seem to be themselves. This is a message of concern. It's a message of to let those who need to know that this is going on, to let them know that this is happening. I don't know if it's just myself, but I do know this. Well, let me complete this one thought here too, but on this individual, but it's completely gone out of his mind. I have caught him numerous times listening and snooping right outside of what would be considered my living or office space or what have you. And several times on the, when that was taking place on the online thing. Now, when it's time to scatter, again, it's the same thing. It's a big stress out, not for anyone else, only for these individuals, but especially that one, and usually the first one to scatter. I am simply sick and tired of it. All right, nobody should have to live like this, to live with their heart in their throat, to be literally just, on complete edge, guarding yourself, 24/7. You shouldn't have to do that. And I've never had to do it in my life. But, it's the people, just remember this, it's the people who don't want to look into it and will not support what you're trying to tell them. Those are going to be the ones that are guilty. It's not, this simple system of, well, we don't have any physical proof here, so that, no. It's very, very different than that. But anyhow, this individual is out of his mind. And, do you know what it's like? In other words, this is what I'm trying to say. To live, to have to be forced to live. I want to go, but I'm forced to live with operatives in the same dwelling area. So anyhow, this is a message to go out there, hopefully to let the right people know that I'm here, and hopefully it's only needed as just a backup verification to keep everybody honest. But at this point, when you hear scrambling going on every time you go to the bathroom or the restroom, especially when you hear, which of course they know I know now, but when you hear a very high-tailed, high-paced effort to get up to the bathroom right above you every time you seem to go to the bathroom, how comfortable would that make you feel? Maybe watching someone while they use the restroom. Let me tell you, these people, these individuals are sick. This president, and I'm talking about the president, Donald J. Trump. He is right, people. He means it, and he is correct 100% plus infinity, at least as I can see it, about what he's saying. And everybody, all I can say is everybody's going to have to do their part. But this has got to stop, because if it's to the point where every family can have operatives move in to their private space, and then, that be used to know what you're doing so you can be ahead of that individual, so you can be there to refuse transactions when you're trying to do them or harm that individual. And this message again is out here because simply, you don't know, because of the theater aspect, that's everybody's going to eventually find out what's really going on here. It's just sad because you don't know if you're getting real police officers. It's not a matter of respecting them at this point. It's a matter of, are they the real ones, the right ones, the real ones that are not going to bullshit you and dress out in police uniforms, even maybe with a real police car, and show up with ulterior motives and be in the mood to kidnap that night. If you know what I'm saying. Okay, I am trying so hard just to be left alone. And I have never in my whole life witnessed anything like this, of what's being done to me. And it is absolutely, just absolutely beyond insane what these individuals are doing to me right now. So I have no, basically, as far as uncompromised phones or mail, or, this is why they're trying so hard for my online communications, and they keep doing it. But it's not so much that, it's just to, it's the operatives that are in here. And by the way, that absolutely out of his mind leader wannabe has completely, when I was saying I was concerned about the project, the building manager completely brainwashed him, because the has no idea. And now, even with the other individuals that were here from before, everybody is like, what's wrong with the building manager now? They're so different. They're not like the same person, and it's not. Now, if you recall what I said about this obsessed leader wannabe that smothers that individual every time they show up and doesn't let them go, I already knew this from years back, so that's why it's obvious to me, but just in case anybody else doesn't know. Anyhow, I'm going to let this hopefully be the end of this, because this would take forever, every night, every day, but mostly every night. It is so much things that are tried upon myself. I don't even have time. If you want to document it so you can at least use it as leverage just to defend your life, you don't have time to do anything else, anything. anything. And that's what they're after. After they get everything else and everything else from you, and they've got a repetitive routine of harming you and injuring you and re-harming and re-injuring, what do they go after? They go after your time. So it's a process of slow killing someone while they're alive, but even worse, while they're just trying to recover from everything else that they've done. So I hope someone hears this message, and just please take care, everyone. And if for some reason I'm not able to put another one of these down on a recording or anything, you know, I'm a good person. I'm a good individual, and I have a good heart. And all I wanted ever was to just be left alone and just to be with my family. And I'm having to fight like hell just to be left alone and do that. And you know, but please let, but if I had to say anything to, oh yes, and I do stand with our current president, President Donald J. Trump. And if I could relay something here, at least now, while I can, it would be, you know, please know I fought like hell, sir. And, you know, I really did. And it was for everyone, not just now, but it was years ago. And it's way too much, you know, being at this age and not even in the military. I've had relatives in the military, of course. I think most people have, but they have to fight this hard just to be left alone. You were right, sir, and I'm with you. And if I don't make it, I hope that you'll somehow have someone can locate my family and tell them every day of this, simply for the chance to hopefully see them again. Everyone take care. Take care, sir. Take care.